Okay, so cervical mucus is obviously really important for successful fertilization, right? The cervical mucus, the fertile mucus that happens right before you ovulate, usually lasting for about 2 to 4 days up until ovulation. Then once you ovulate, then the fertile cervical mucus changes consistency and then dries up. And the point of it is to help the sperms swim up to your waiting egg, right? Up the vaginal cavity through the cervix and up through your fallopian tube. It creates the sperm-friendly environment, because otherwise, when you're not ovulating, then it is not a sperm-friendly environment at all. The sperm is meant to die. But when you are about to ovulate, obviously the sperm is meant to live and successfully fertilize. And so you want to make sure that your vaginal environment and your cervical mucus is healthy enough and that there's enough of it to extend that fertile window. Because once your egg is ovulated, it lasts about 24 hours before it dies if it's not fertilized and becoming a little embryo. But what happens is before ovulation, when you have cervical mucus, fertile cervical mucus for the 2 to 4 days or so beforehand, and you have intercourse before your egg is released and ovulated, then the sperm can live and wait for the egg to be ready for fertilization. So it extends that fertile window and allows for more opportunity. So that's why it's really important. Now, to check your mucus, you usually check when you're going to the bathroom, and you might see it on the toilet paper when you wipe. And fertile cervical mucus should be clear and like an egg white consistency. Many of you probably know this, but the consistency of like uncooked egg white, so that if you put it between your fingers, it can stretch, but it's not like sticky or gooey or too thick. It's just like egg white consistency, and it should be clearish. Maybe it will be a little bit streaked or opaque, but it shouldn't be watery and it shouldn't be thick or pasty. But it may change that leading up to before it gets fertile. Sometimes it can be more creamy, and then after ovulation it can go back to like creamy before it dries up. So that's typically how it goes. Now, for those of you who are saying, well, I don't have enough fertile cervical mucus, what do I do? Is there a substitute, or how can I get more? Now, there are substitutes out there, which I will get to at the end of this video, but I want to emphasize that should only be reserved for if you're absolutely not getting any fertile cervical mucus, and you're trying everything first to get your body to produce that fertile cervical mucus before you're resorting to using a substitute. Now, you can use a substitute until your body does start to produce it on its own, but it's not ideal, because what your body does on its own, it's going to be so much more effective. Your body has the wisdom to know what is the most effective in supporting fertilization. So if your body's not producing that mucus, that means it needs some more support. It means it's lacking something so that it's not able to produce it. So you want to address that issue first. If you're addressing it and it's still not working, then sure, use an alternative. Or until your body starts producing it on its own, then you can use an alternative. So to get your body to produce more fertile cervical mucus, there's a few things that you can do. First of all, you want to make sure that you are staying hydrated. A lot of times it's as simple as dehydration. So makes sense, right? If you don't have enough fluids in your body, how is your body going to produce more fluid? It doesn't have what it needs to produce that fluid. So you want to make sure you're drinking enough water. Now, I would also recommend, and in general, that's about 2 liters a day. And then I would also recommend that you add a squeeze of lemon juice to your water throughout the day. It doesn't necessarily have to be every glass, but maybe every other glass, or at least here and there when you think of it, because vitamin C can really help your body to have healthier fertile cervical mucus. So it's a great, more bang for your buck. Stay hydrated, put some lemon juice in there, you're getting the vitamin C. And that can help things. The other thing is making sure that you're relaxed. When you're really tense, then your reproductive organs aren't getting the circulation that you need. You might notice that when you're tense, that your libido isn't as strong either. And at the time of fertilization, your libido should be improved. It should be activated because that's natural, right? When you're ovulating, that you would desire to have intercourse. And so if you're not feeling like your libido is kicking in, then you're probably two things: tired and stressed. So you want to make sure you're getting enough sleep, because sleep is also what helps your body to produce fluids. We become dry when we don't get enough sleep, because sleep is what we consider the yin time of the day in Chinese medicine. Yin is fluids, it's substance, it's the cooling fluid aspect of physiological processes. So if you are deficient in yin, if you're burning the candle at both ends, if you're not getting good quality sleep, your body just does not have the energy that it needs to produce these fluids, to make these fluids, so it gets dry. So I don't know if you've ever noticed, if you're not sleeping that well, your eyes get drier, maybe your skin gets drier, you're more like dehydrated. Yeah, so you want to make sure you're getting enough sleep so that your body has the resources that it needs to produce these reproductive fluids. And then stress is going to constrict flow, right? So if your muscles are tense in your reproductive area, then they're not relaxed, and you're not getting so they're not able to lubricate themselves. And if you think about it, like intercourse is just not very comfortable when you're tense, when you're not relaxed. It's hard to get out of your head. It's hard to enjoy it. It's hard to relax into it. It's harder to climax. And all of these things are also important for fertilization, because the whole process is specifically designed to fertilize your egg and keep our species alive. That's the whole, physiological purpose of intercourse, right? Then of course there's the emotional and spiritual aspect. So the more that you're opened up, the more relaxed you are, the more you're actually enjoying intercourse, the more likely it will be successful, fertilization will be successful. And so, of course, that means you also want to take your time. And I know sometimes it's hard. It's a chore, and you're like, we got to get the deed done because I got a positive reading and so forth. But if you're stressed out a lot, it's going to affect your hormones. It's also going to affect your ability to produce cervical mucus. So, throughout the first half of your cycle, you can do more meditation or guided relaxations or yoga, getting into your body and out of your head. And not just the first half of your cycle, of course, your whole cycle, but you might notice as ovulation approaches, the more that you really are mindful of incorporating this into your lifestyle, you may notice a shift in your cervical mucus. And of course, there's a lot of other tools that you can use. My online program, Fertility Activation Method, teaches tools like specific acupressure protocols to increase your cervical mucus, and doing castor oil packs, and doing various therapies, as well as guided relaxations and so forth, that are all there to support an increase in cervical mucus and help to keep the hormones balanced and so forth. So if you want to learn more, then you can sign up for my free masterclass. It's in the link above this video. My #1 fertility secret for getting pregnant without drugs or IVF. And in there, I go over my 4-step method for getting pregnant successfully. And I explain how my protocols work to do things like increase your cervical mucus. Oh, and so and as far as product goes, as a cervical mucus substitute, there are two products, but one I do not recommend. One is probably the most popular that you've probably heard about. It's called Conceive, and I do not recommend this one because it has some of these chemicals that are not good for you in general and are hormone disruptors, like parabens. So you definitely don't want to put that in your body in a very sensitive area that's very absorbent and right around your reproductive organs. You don't want to put these hormone disruptors there. So I was really excited to find another product called Baby Gans, and I have no affiliation with them. But I'm excited that they exist, so I'm happy to support them. They are the only product out there that is does not have any chemicals, doesn't have any of those sketchy chemicals that are hormone disruptors and bad estrogens and so forth that can affect your fertility. And it's also sperm friendly, because you don't want to use any lubes. You don't want to use oil like coconut oil or almond oil or any of those natural oils, because they're not sperm friendly. They may harm the sperm. So you want to make sure that you're using something that doesn't have chemicals and will not kill the sperm. And the only product that I found out there that checks those two boxes is called Baby Dance. So just you can just Google it, Baby Dance lube, or yeah, and I'm sure you'll find it. So that's that.